Seltsame Ereignisse gehen hier vor sich bei Tales of Rise. Das ist uns schon letzte Folge aufgefallen, als wir ein neues Volk kennengelernt haben. Diese Helangil... keine Ahnung, kann sie gar nicht mehr aussprechen. Jedenfalls ein Vertreter seiner Art, wenn man so will, der uns relativ freundlich gesinnt war, der auch gesagt hat, dass diese roten Damen, die uns begegnet sind, die auch in diese Wesen sich verwandeln können, dass sie irgendwie vom großen Astralgeist von Renäer versklavt werden, in gewisser Art und Weise. Und ja, er hat eigentlich nur eine Bitte an uns, und zwar ihn zu rächen, oder sie zu rächen, beziehungsweise auf den großen Geist zu vernichten. So, damit sie da frei sein können. Und Hilfrecht 435 kontrollieren, wenn angezeigt, genau. Also sein Name ist Hilfrecht 35, angenehm. Ich bin Michael... Ich habe gar keine Zahl mehr gerade. Also kommt drauf an, wenn es der Jahrgang ist, dann Michael 88. Warte mal, das könnte mir auch falsch ausgelegt werden. Okay, ich sag mal lieber gar nichts mehr. Egal. Er wollte ja noch, dass wir eine Cutscene triggern.
You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right? I mean, it's practically blackmailing us into doing its dirty work.
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not sure I understood all of it. How about you, Dohalim? Were you able to follow it at all?
At the very least, everything it said about the Renan Great Spirit adds up. At the end of the day, this whole chain of events comes back to astral energy. That being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dana, I suspect I would find its story much more difficult to believe.
The spirit of Renna wants to see Dana completely destroyed. But why? Astral energy is supposed to be a force that creates and shapes the world.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or what its game is. We're not going to let it destroy Dana.
Right.
There is one other thing that concerns me. How the Great Spirit, the Helganquil, and the Crown Contest are all part of a centuries-long plan is clear enough. But what about the Renans? How do they factor into all this?
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Hevric 35 never even brought up the Renans once. And as for the Helganquil, we never did find out just what they are either.
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even more going on. Maybe the others will shed more light on the matter. Let's find out.
Ich behaupte immer noch, dass Renäer und Danäer, dass es da gar keinen Unterschied gibt. Dass es ursprünglich wirklich ein Volk war, was dann von Dana aber entführt wurde, von den Helgenquill, aber im Auftrag halt vom großen Geist von Renäer. Und dass die dann modifiziert wurden, sodass sie Astralarte einsetzen konnten, eben halt auch unter der Bedingung mit dem blauen Auge und so, dass eben zu diesem auch Spitznamen kamen, das Strahlenauge, wie sie auch genannt werden, und dass ihre Erinnerungen dann so frisiert wurden. Also wir sprechen ja von den allerersten Danäer, ne? Das ist vermutlich schon Hunderte, vielleicht sogar schon Tausende Jahre her. Da wird noch lange vor Elfen gewesen sein. Ist mindestens mal so eine Theorie von mir, weil sonst habe ich momentan auch keine Idee, wie das sein könnte. So. Kommen wir, warte mal. Da war der Ausgangspunkt. Da wollte ich die Unterebene ansteuern, die ging ja nicht. Dann... Alter, was ist ein creepiger Name. Erst mit dem Namen hier haben die Entwickler auch ein bisschen Händler bewiesen, wa? Ah, okay, jetzt geht die Unterebene. Die Namen sind teilweise ja richtige Zungenbrecher. Jetzt ist halt die Frage, da vorne wird mir bereits ein Stern angezeigt, bin ich hier falsch? Oder zu früh ist das schon Endgame quasi? Dann habe gespeichert, ist also kein Problem. Ja gut. Ja, wir sind relativ weit weg und wir sehen gerade, wie Dana zerstört wird und wie Renäer zu einem blühenden Kristall wird. Alter, dieser Kristallding ist ja auch scheiße groß, ey, alter Schwede. Aber hier ist ja so, wie es scheint, die komplette Astralenergie von Dana. Oder sehr viel zumindest. So, also, kann eigentlich nur noch die Unterebene noch irgendwas Wichtiges für uns bereithalten. Bin gespannt. Wir sind ja auch schon bei Folge 31 jetzt von der zweiten Staffel. Wenn wir erst dann dazu zählen, sind wir irgendwie bei Folge 108 oder so. Vom Let's Play zu Tales of Arise. Haben wir hier noch vielleicht irgendwelche Informationen oder so etwas? In kreisförmigen Bereichen. Ah. Scheint aber trotzdem halt dieselbe Technologie wie die der Renäer zu sein. Okay, mal ein Schnellreisepunkt. Interessant. Würde sich einfach mal eine Theorie stützen, dass die Helkan-Quill eben halt ihre Technologie mit den Renäern geteilt haben, mit den ersten. Oder quasi übergeben haben, so. Misst Astralenergie, Fluktuation in Dana und Rena. Okay, ich sehe keine Zahlen. Wir sehen nur hübsche Grafiken und einen Bauplan wieder von der Station. Okay, andere Seite. Da soll es ja richtig abgehen.
Who are they?
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I've seen any humans from the outside world.
Are you a Renan?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. The Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you as much as we can. But be quick. Our subjects are undergoing a dramatic shift that we don't want to miss.
What a weird guy.
He must have meant Hevrecht 35 when he mentioned that Overseer.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dana and Rena, do you?
There isn't anyone else we can talk to. I guess we should ask around here.
Sind das vielleicht Nachkommen der ersten Menschen überhaupt? Also noch bevor es Danäer und Renäer gab? Weil er so gemeint hat, oh, bist du Renäer? So kann schon sein.
Have you guys lived up here in Deg Faisal with Hevrecht 35 for a long time?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just how long it's been, though. We regularly go into stasis, so our sense of time has gotten rather out of whack over the years.
Why are you all even here in the first place?
Originally, this station was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegus from the outside.
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location due to an accident.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire facility had been destroyed.
And you've been working for Hevrecht 35 ever since?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility, but then it turned out the Overseer was there all along.
What do you mean?
The Helganquill have the technology to cloak themselves around us Renans. As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously. Do they employ an astral art of some sort?
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means. In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegus is still run.
But aren't the Helganquill themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helganquill, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevrecht 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Renäer or Lenegis? Our ship is going to be fixed pretty soon. You could ride with us.
No way. If we went back after knowing the truth, they'd either just brainwash us or purge us outright. After all this time, there's nothing to be gained from going back. We've all agreed it'd be best to simply stay here and watch everything unfold instead. Things are going just fine with the Overseer. Not that it'll be around much longer. It can't extend its life any further. That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the final stage of the plan before it passes on, though.
Thank you for answering our questions.
Letzte Phase? Was meint ihr damit?
Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the two planets undergo their next shift, so I can talk until then.
Please, tell us what you know about the Helganquil.
You mean the Overseer's species? I can't say I know much about them.
Well, for starters, where'd they come from?
Where else? From Renäer, obviously.
From Renäer? Wait, are you telling us those things live right alongside the Renans down there?
Of course not. There's really no such thing as Renans in the first place.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer explained everything.
Apparently not.
Please, tell us more.
Well, in a nutshell, the Renans were originally created from Danans by the Helganquil.
But if that's true, then that would mean there aren't any people on Renäer.
There aren't. But there are Helganquil. That's what the name literally means in their language. People of Renäer.
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware that the Helganquil are on the verge of extinction, yes? In essence, we were created to carry on their work for the Great Spirit after they all die. They gathered Danans who had an affinity for astral arts and proceeded from there. That's why we, as their descendants, can all cast arts, albeit to varying degrees.
Let me get this straight. Are you saying Renans were originally created from Danans that the Helganquil kidnapped?
Wait, that explains why almost nobody can use Astro Arts on Dana now.
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. The way they alter their bodies is far less invasive than your conventional surgeries. They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible, which they insert into their bodies and...
Enough! You needn't tell us anymore.
How can you speak so calmly about all of this?
I guess I can see how, when viewed in a certain light, their ways may sound grotesque. But if you ask me, I think they ultimately did us a favor. They saved us from crawling the earth in ignorance. If it meant their hands had to get a little dirty in the process, then so be it. Anyway, the Helganquil are the real Renans. Personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two planets. I think that covers just about everything worth knowing.
I see. Thanks for filling us in.
Does he really expect us to believe that Renans never truly existed? How absurd.
Dohalim.
Just when I think we're getting to the bottom of it all, some new revelation smacks us in the face.
Then let's hope this is our last revelation for a while.
Da würden wir stark wundern. Aber genau das ist doch das, was ich schon die ganze Zeit vermutet habe. Ich meine, alleine schon ganz ehrlich, dass die Renäer und Danäer sich so ähnlich sind, aber trotzdem die Renäer irgendwie, aus welchem Grund auch immer, eine so fortschrittliche Technologie hatten und trotzdem, obwohl sie vor 300 Jahren schon mit den Raumschiffen herkamen, haben wir, als wir mit unserem, also mit Elfens Raumschiff, ich weiß gerade den Namen nicht mehr, sorry, also mit dem Raumschiff nach Lenegis zurückgekehrt sind, haben wir gesehen, dass die anderen Raumschiffe, die aktuellen Raumschiffe, eine andere Farbe haben, aber sonst genau gleich aussehen. Wollen mir also erzählen, dass die in 300 Jahren sich nicht weiterentwickelt haben? Ja, logisch, wenn die Technologie gar nicht von ihnen kam, sondern von den Helgenquill, dann wundert mich gar nichts mehr. Es hat bloß die Frage, ob es die Renäer wie Duhalim und Shione, ob die eigentlich, naja, auch einen anderen Körper noch hätten. Oder eben, ob sie jetzt einfach so aussehen, wie sie jetzt sind und das mit der Astralenergie und so, dass sie die einsetzen können. Und blaue Augen haben, wenn sie sie einsetzen, dass das halt vererbt wurde quasi. Wird das irgendwie Mechanismus aktiviert wird und plötzlich verwandeln sich die beiden auch irgendwie so Helgenquill-Dinger. Das wäre ein bisschen schräg.
Do you know anything about a spirit channeling plan?
If you mean the first plan from 300 years ago, then yes. Do you know what its main objective was?
Yes. It was to use Lenegis to siphon off Dana's astral energy and send it to Rena.
Exactly. However, there were two problems we had to consider. First was how to collect and send such a large quantity of astral energy without it becoming sentient. Second, we had to figure out how to convert Dana's energy so it would be compatible with Rena.
I take it the solutions to those problems were to use the wedge for the collection, and then the Sovereign and Maiden to convert the energy.
We have a winner. However, the first plan failed when the Sovereign was overwhelmed and became frenzied. The reason for that is because the Maiden lost control. I'm told he slaughtered many Renans in Helganquil that day. For the next plan, we tried to recreate the Renis Alma, but we didn't have nearly enough of the other non-dark astral energy types. To amend that, we set our sights on Dana, and implemented a system whereby we could extract energy from it.
And the crown contest began.
Correct. Since the Maiden had been the failing point in the previous plan, it was decided to replace her role with machinery to avoid further mishaps. A new Sovereign had to be made as well. It was such tremendously difficult work, its success was dubious. But from the look of things, it would appear such worries were unfounded.
So that's what the purpose of that room we found in the Forbidden Zone was.
What about the flower that sprouted from Rena?
Flower? Oh, that thing. That's the physical manifestation of all the astral energy that's been harvested from Dana. As I'm sure you've noticed, it's quite a lot of energy. At this point, it's likely that it's become physically integrated with Rena's planetary structure.
Hevric 35 mentioned that the spirit channeling plan is entering its final stage. Is that true?
It is. I never thought I would live to see the day with my own eyes, and yet here we are. Are we done talking now? If it's all the same to you, I'd really rather not miss anything that's about to happen.
He talks like the potential end of the world is just another day on the job.
You've got to remember that these guys have been living alone up here for a long time. Who knows what shape their minds are in?
It feels like our whole world has been turned upside down. Is there anything we know that's still true at this point?
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we Renans were created by the Helganquil, let alone the Sovereign and Maiden stuff.
Let's take a moment to gather ourselves. I know all of this is a lot to believe and take in, but I think it's fair to say that we've found the answers we've been looking for. Does everyone agree?
Agreed. Though I'll admit that I never expected it to all boil down to Rena's great spirit being behind everything.
Everything that's happened, everything we've endured, it's all because of astral energy.
And to get that energy, the Great Spirit took control of the Helganquil. Then the Helganquil created the Renans, who went on to invade and rule over the Danans.
Plus, the reason the Great Spirit can't directly control the Renans as well is likely because they were originally Danans all along.
Either way, I think it's fair to say we've all had a lot to take in at once. Maybe too much, even. We should probably take it easy and rest our minds a bit. Why don't we all take some time to think things over, before we decide on our next move?
That's a good idea, Kisara. If the Renan Great Spirit really is behind all this, And we've got a really big fight ahead of us. Because it's not just Dana on the line, but Rena too. If we're going to do this, we need to be completely sure of ourselves. So let's go ahead and break off for now. We aren't in any immediate danger, so we should be okay. You sure you don't want to be alone right now?
I could ask you the same question.
I figured I'd get all my thinking in while walking around and checking up on everybody.
I'll go along with you. I'm interested to hear what's on everyone's minds too.
Sounds good. Let's go find them.
Ja klar, können wir uns einfach eine Pause, während Dana gerade vernichtet wird, ist ja kein Problem.
Yeah, let's hit up each spot.
Alter. Ja gut, andererseits wäre ich in der Position, ich glaube, ich würde auch im Rad trüllen. Ey, alter Schwede. Ja gut, was ich mir gerade frage ist, die Energie von Rena nach Dana zurückschicken ist vielleicht eins, aber wie können wir dadurch auch Rena retten? Oder müssen wir zwangsläufig einen Planeten opfern? Ah ja, ein Gespräch.
Everything we thought we knew. It was all just a fabrication that the Red Women, no, that the Helganquil made up.
Right. Assuming we can believe anything that Hevric 35 has told us, that is.
Well, if the names are anything to go by, it's possible the Helganquil could be behind the fruits of Helgen too.
But if Hevric 35 was telling the truth, and this was all just one massive lie, does that mean everything we've done up until now has been pointless?
No, I don't think so. Or at least I hope not. I think it just means we've lost our foothold for now. That's all.
Really? Well then, if we've lost it, I guess we'll just have to find another. All of us together. And if we can't find one, then we'll make a new one. End of story.
Make one, huh? I see. Right then. Count me in.
Ein guter Hinweis von Elfen, hey. Das mit der Frucht von Helgan. Ja, natürlich, die Helganquil. Hä? Ja, aber... Das mit der Frucht von Helgan war doch eigentlich so, dass er trotzdem Almedria und der andere Typ, der hat gerade seinen Namen vergessen, der Dualims Berater war, dass sie diese Frucht und die Menschen im jeweiligen Reich ja untergebracht haben. Woher hatten sie die Früchte überhaupt? Also wurden sie auch von Helganquil bzw. von roten Frauen so weit beeinflusst, um diese zu nutzen? Oh. Ich glaube, ich weiß, weshalb Rena irgendwie auch ein bisschen tot aussieht. Lass mich raten, so eine große silberne Pfütze, wie wir sie auch schon auf Dana gesehen haben, also quasi die Essenz, ja. Der Renäer, wenn sie sich auflösen. Wenn sie von der Frucht von Helgan zu viel genascht haben, wenn man so will. Gibt sicher auch so einen See auf Rena. Lass mich raten, weil mir ist gerade in den Sinn gekommen. Mit den ganzen früheren Siegern um den Kampf der Krone. Die wurden nach Rena geschickt und kamen nie mehr zurück. Was ist, wenn sie in Rena blieben, und zwar als Energiequelle, sprich, wenn sie eben der Frucht von Helgan zum Opfer fiel? Vielen, in dem Sinne, gab ja ein paar. Der Scheiße. Und dass sie natürlich den Kampf um die Krone gewonnen haben, haben sie nur dementsprechend auch relativ viel Astralenergie angesammelt. Und ja, schwupp, schon war es um sie geschehen und ihre Körper wurden aufgelöst, wurden zu silbernen Pfützen, die dann quasi noch als Nahrung für Rena dienten. Plötzlich hat sie ja viel mehr Bewohner. Sehr viel mehr sogar. Die klingt wirklich, als wären sie einfach irgendwelche Beobachter. Ich meine, ist irgendwo auch logisch, aber irgendwie auch ein bisschen schräg.
You both seem awfully calm.
Only because after everything we've seen, we don't have the energy to keep being shocked.
How are you holding up, Rinwell? That whole talk about the Renans looked like it shook you up a bit.
Yeah. I get this sinking feeling whenever I remember how Dan and mages like my family were persecuted and died out. And now, I finally know why that is. But I was thinking, if Renans end up living together with Danans again, then mages won't be such an unusual thing to see on Dana anymore, right? I know it's not as simple as all that, but Danans probably won't be so quick to let their guards down, and there might be Renans who still act superior because of their arts.
It wouldn't surprise me. 300 years of bad blood and prejudice isn't going to be an easy thing to overcome.
Yeah, I know firsthand just how much hatred can take hold in your heart once you let it in. But even so, I was still able to change. And if I can change, so can anyone else. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I could use my position as both a Danan and a mage to help bring both sides together.
Renwell.
That great spirit worries me too, though. Dana's will feels so warm and inviting. So why is Rena's will trying to destroy our entire planet?
Now that you mention it, Everett 35 and the other scientists here never really brought that up. Maybe they don't know either.
Maybe. But regardless, at the end of the day, Dana's still our home. There's no way we can let it be destroyed.
We won't. We'll keep it safe no matter what.
Starke Worte. So, hier haben wir gesehen. Ja, okay. Oh, Heilung. Wieso wurde der verletzt? Wovon überhaupt? Jetzt kann er weiter forschen. Tja, krass war. Die anderen sind auf der anderen Seite. Gut, quatschen wir mal noch mit MikelTheSayan. Müssen sicher mindestens ein Gespräch noch auf die nächste Folge verschieben.
Oh, it's you two. Does he seem like he's doing any better now?
He who? Oh, you mean Dohalim, don't you?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all, but he looked like he was taking it really hard earlier.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the Renans and the Great Spirit and all that?
On some level, I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit is like a huge natural disaster, but with a mind and will of its own. But if that thing's hell-bent on trying to destroy our planet, then the only thing left for us to do is stop it. As for the Renans, I suppose my feelings on that are a bit more mixed.
How so?
Coexistence between Danans and Renans in Menancia is still a work in progress. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down, I was still on guard around Renans. So, to be told that they're like us, that they're actually just like us is, well, I guess it's a little deflating, to be honest.
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the Renans? At the end of the day, the Helganquil and the Great Spirit are the ones who are responsible. But at the same time, I realize that not every Danan is necessarily going to believe that either.
I know you're already aware of this, but the list of grievances the Danans have against the Renans is long, and understandably so. And if people then find out that they're all actually one and the same, yeah, I don't think they're going to take to it too kindly.
Even just among the Danans, I'm sure there'll be some who emerge with power and some who won't. I think if we can find a way to get rid of that imbalance, then we'll be in a truly good place.
Well, first we can try to figure out what to do about the existing conflicts we have.
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people could learn to get past their hatred like Renwell did.
It's no small task. We can't pretend like the past didn't happen and ask people to forget their very real pain and suffering.
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. But if we just keep yelling at each other about it, we'll never move on. In a worst-case scenario, it might lead to even more people getting killed.
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway. Not just that, but to also embrace each other's pain, in a sense.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
It's true. Everybody has their own scars, their own trauma. The first step to healing those wounds is to put aside that hatred. It won't be achieved through reasoning, but I think it's a good first step, if nothing else. And now, I think I see a way to move forward. But to do that, first we need to make sure our planet isn't going to get wiped out.
Lange Gespräche zum Teil, alter Schwede. Okay, Freunde, den restlichen beiden Gespräche machen wir in nächsten Part und dann, ich hoffe, wir können endlich nach Renäer und im Großen und Ganzen mal die Fresse einschlagen, ganz ehrlich, ey, das zieht sich ja unglaublich, ey. Nicht wegen der Story selber, sondern die Cutscenes selbst sind eigentlich schon relativ kurz und schmerzlos, aber diese Gespräche dazwischen. Zuerst war ich ein großer Fan davon, mittlerweile muss ich aber doch sagen, jedes Mal denke ich mir so, das Gleiche nochmal durchkauen und 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 Mal wiederholen. Wir müssen nur an uns glauben, wir müssen alles zusammenhalten. Ja, das wissen wir doch mittlerweile schon. Egal. Freunde, Dank fürs Zusehen, bis zum nächsten Mal. Zurück bei Tales of Arise. Bye, bye.